I'm here at BGG.CON 2014 with Adam from Hikari Games, and he's here to talk about Phoenix Covenant.
Yes. So Phoenix Covenant is our first game by Hikari Games. We're a fresh company. We actually just wrapped our Kickstarter. So what you're seeing here is a pre-production, demo version of everything. But Phoenix Covenant is actually a multi-mode game where the PvP competitive head-to-head mode is more about two competing sides. You're playing effectively as generals, trying to form your army via units and certainly cast spells via your hand of cards, build structures onto the field to try to tactically overwhelm or otherwise overpower and outwit your opponent toward capturing or destroying their base.
Excellent. And how many players is the game for?
So right now we have a PvP head-to-head 1v1. We are expanding into team play, and we're also developing, it's not yet done unfortunately, but we're certainly reaching out into PvE where you can play missions and scenarios with friends cooperatively.
Okay, excellent. And how long does the game take to play?
So the game on average is about 25 to 35 minutes. We can change the amount of life total or morale total that you have to conquer or overwhelm, but normally the game runs at longest around an hour, certainly. It just depends on how strategic or how thoughtful you need to be during any particular playthrough.
And on that note, is it a light, medium, or heavy game in terms of being able to pick it up and play it, and also in terms of being able to figure out the strategies underneath it?
So you can certainly play a pretty light game if you wanted to. There are certain units. Certainly there are spells that are pretty basic, just basic blast spells or other types of simple ranged units, things like that. So you can really get into the mechanics very quickly. I've actually had at different cons 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds come up and take to the game really quickly. So there's certain elements that are pretty light. Not saying that 8 or 10-year-olds aren't super smart these days, but the deeper you want to get into it, the deeper you can get into it. So I don't know if that really answers it, but it's kind of a medium heavy, maybe, or...
Okay, sounds good. Well, shall we take a look at how it plays?
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll just have to look over it here. I mean, I could talk a little bit about the lore, but...
Oh yeah, sure. Go ahead with the lore.
So we are building out a decent amount of lore in it. We do have 4 factions. The way that the story works is that there's this great cataclysm that's unfurling the world, and the 5 great beings have come together to try to reunite the world, to try to figure out what's going on, turn back the cataclysm, all that. So we do have different factions. We actually have 2 featured right here that have been affected by the cataclysm in different ways. But you can certainly learn more on our website. We do have 2 other factions, the Midlands and the North. They're all featured in the cards. We don't have specific faction decks unless you build them yourself. But sure, I'm absolutely happy to get into a demo. Let me just put these aside, and then we will get to some real play. So let's try out something that involves some basic combat. We'll use some ranged units. So we have 2 units on the field. This is a commander card. Now, commander cards are actually pretty special. They allow you to forward summon units. Normally you can only bring units into your first row and then move them along until you reach the other side's base, but commander cards allow you to, if placed upfield, bring them from your hand out to forward points. Facing is exceedingly important in the game, so we do have units that have different armor values, actually armor plating rather is the better term, and then we have weak points. So depending on how you face the unit, creates different circumstances for your opponent or yourself to actually have to move around to either get to a weak point, do extra damage, or just be able to counter using positional mechanics that we have built into the game.
Okay, I'll just hold up some of the cards so that the camera can pick it up a little bit better. So you've got the armor and the weak points on the back, and this one has
a lot of armor. Yeah, that's
a lot of armor.
A lot of armor and a special ability where it can soak damage for units that are adjacent to it.
And this one has infinite armor all around the edge. So there's a whole bunch of different units.
So the last one you had was actually a structure type card, and what you can do is off of a side deck you can build structures on top of hard points to be able to augment your forces. So just quickly, I have let's say that the camera or the audience has these 2 units on the field. If I, for whatever reason, wanted to try and attack with my Legion Knight, you would be able to respond in turn on your turn. You could play a tactical spell, so let's say during my attack, you could say, no, I'm going to cast this lightning, and that will do 4 damage. What we're using right now, at least for the prototype, is just using some dice to track the amount of damage done. So that could be 4 damage in return for what I would ultimately only do 2 damage onto your unit. So there's a lot of interplay that can occur, but still on your turn you could feasibly move your ranged units into range, be able to fire back, and even though it's resolving into armor, you could defeat the unit by doing significant damage. So again, it's just a play about where you are on the field, when you are actually in those positions. It's a big game about maneuver and making sure that you have the right resources at the right time.
And the aim is to get the other person down to 0 health?
Yes.
Okay.
Like I said, we are working on PvE, so we're certainly building that out. We got a great reception on Kickstarter. We did close that just 3 days ago, fully funded and everything. So we're here at BGG.CON specifically to try to promote even more. You can always check us out at PhoenixCovenant.com or Hikari Games.com.
And can they get a copy of the game?
So what they can do right now is you can pre-order. You can go to PhoenixCovenant.com or actually via our old Kickstarter page, you can still find it, and then you can pre-order the game for, I think it's $52.50 USD, so around $52, all of that put together, shipping included, everything like that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem, thank you.